Close your eyes for a moment. You are not standing in front of a mirror. You are inside your own body, drifting somewhere between your stomach and your spine, surrounded by a thick layer of fat wrapped around your organs like a slow, warm tide. This is visceral fat, the deep kind, the kind no amount of crunches will touch. And here is the thing nobody tells you. This fat does not respond to punishment. The harder you push, the tighter it holds on. Your body is not being stubborn. It is being protective. It is whispering something. And if you have been grinding through workouts, trying to lose your belly and failing, it is time to stop and listen. What your body is asking for is not more effort. It is a different signal entirely. Here is a truth the fitness industry rarely admits. The fuel your body burns during exercise is not random. It is a calculated biological choice, one that depends almost entirely on how threatened your body feels in that moment. You have two primary fuel sources: glucose, the fast-burning sugar stored in your muscles and liver, and lipids, the slow, dense, oxygen-hungry fuel locked inside your fat cells. Your body is perfectly capable of choosing between them, but when you sprint, when your heart pounds and your lungs scream, your nervous system reads that spike as danger. Not the rational kind where you know you are safe on a treadmill, but the ancient, cellular kind that dates back hundreds of thousands of years. And in that ancient logic, danger demands fast energy. Fat is too slow to break down, too complex to mobilize quickly. So the body bypasses it entirely and burns sugar instead. Scientists track this using something called the respiratory exchange ratio, a number that reveals exactly which fuel is being combusted. At high intensities, that ratio climbs close to 1, meaning nearly every calorie burned comes from glucose. Fat stands untouched on the sidelines. When the sugar runs low, the brain releases cortisol to dismantle muscle tissue and manufacture more glucose through gluconeogenesis. You end up exhausted, ravenous, and metabolically worse off than when you started. The visceral fat you were chasing sealed itself the moment cortisol entered the picture. Think of it as a vault. When the alarm fires, the vault does not open. It locks tighter. Walking is the code that silences the alarm. Not because it burns more calories, but because it speaks a completely different biological language. The first hack is the glucose sponge walk, and it works at the level of the individual cell. If you carry belly fat, there is a strong probability you also carry some degree of insulin resistance. These two conditions are not just correlated. They feed each other in a loop that is remarkably hard to escape from the outside. Normally, insulin acts like a master key drifting through your bloodstream after a meal, fitting into receptors on muscle cells and unlocking a channel that allows glucose to flood in. When those receptors are desensitized, the key no longer turns. The pancreas floods the body with more and more insulin trying to force the lock. High insulin in the bloodstream carries one clear instruction: store fat. Do not release it. But your muscle cells have a second entrance that bypasses the broken lock entirely. When your legs move, when your quadriceps and calves contract mechanically, they push a glucose transporter called GLUT4 to the surface of the cell without needing insulin at all. It is a back door opened by motion itself. A 10 to 15 minute walk immediately after your largest meal of the day transforms your leg muscles into a biological sponge. They pull glucose out of the bloodstream before it can travel to the liver and be converted into visceral fat. You lower the glucose spike, you lower the insulin spike that follows, and you pull the body out of fat storage mode using nothing more than the rhythm of your own steps. The second hack is the nasal-only rule, and it is the most precise and cost-free metabolic monitor you will ever own. Most people walk either slightly too fast, tipping into a cardio zone where the body burns sugar, or slightly too slow, producing almost no metabolic stimulus, the fat-burning sweet spot. What researchers call fat max lies between those two extremes. Finding it without wearable technology is simpler than you expect. Close your mouth. If your pace forces you to gasp through your mouth to get enough air, you have crossed the threshold. You have switched fuels. You are producing lactic acid and raising cortisol. By breathing exclusively through your nose for the entire walk, you use your own respiratory system as a natural governor, locking yourself inside the fat-burning zone automatically. But the chemistry runs deeper than pace control. Nasal breathing retains slightly more carbon dioxide in your blood than mouth breathing does. And this matters enormously because of something called the Bohr effect. Hemoglobin, the protein that carries oxygen in your red blood cells, requires carbon dioxide to be present in order to release that oxygen into your tissues. Mouth breathing dumps carbon dioxide too quickly. And paradoxically, your blood grips its oxygen too tightly, leaving your cells starved even as your lungs labor away. Nasal breathing calibrates the exchange, optimizing oxygen delivery to the mitochondria so fat oxidation can proceed steadily and continuously. Your sinuses also produce nitric oxide during nasal breathing, a molecule that dilates blood vessels, lowers blood pressure, and activates the parasympathetic nervous system. You are burning fat while telling your brain that you are calm. That is the combination that defines productive, sustainable fat loss. The third hack is rucking, and it speaks to a hormone most people have never heard of. Your body is a ruthless optimizer, given the same stimulus day after day. It learns to execute that movement more efficiently, burning fewer and fewer calories for the same output. The solution is not to walk longer. It is to make the walk slightly unfamiliar. Load a backpack with 5 to 10 pounds, a few water bottles, or a couple of heavy books. That modest addition recruits type 2 muscle fibers that unloaded walking rarely activates. It forces your core, your glutes, and your lower back into continuous stabilization work, and it places mechanical stress on your skeletal system, triggering your bones to secrete a hormone called osteocalcin. Osteocalcin is one of the most underappreciated metabolic signals in the human body. It travels through the bloodstream and communicates directly with the pancreas, improving insulin secretion, and with fat cells, encouraging the release of stored energy. A weighted walk does not simply burn more calories now, it upgrades the metabolic engine itself, so that your body becomes more efficient at burning fat even on the days you do not move. The fourth hack lives not in your muscles or mitochondria, but in the oldest, most primal part of your brain. It is called the optic flow reset, and it addresses a cause of belly fat that almost no fitness conversation ever touches. Cortisol is the primary chemical driver of visceral fat accumulation. Sustained high cortisol instructs the body to deposit fat specifically around the organs, an ancient biological strategy for keeping emergency fuel close to the core during prolonged threat. To reduce that fat permanently, you cannot only burn what is already stored, you must also turn off the mechanism that keeps producing more, and that mechanism is chronic, low-grade, invisible stress. Neuroscience has clarified something remarkable in recent years. The type of visual attention you use from moment to moment sends a direct signal to your amygdala, the threat detection center of the brain. When you stare at a small screen, whether it is a phone held in your hand during a walk or a television mounted in front of a treadmill, you are using what is called foveal vision. This is the narrow, locked-on gaze you use when you are tracking a target. Evolutionarily, that kind of visual focus meant one thing: a threat was near. Your amygdala reads that signal without question. Cortisol rises, the fat vault seals tighter. But when you walk through open space and allow your gaze to drift across the horizon, letting objects pass through your peripheral field as you move forward, the entire neural experience changes. This is called optic flow. Research from neuroscience laboratories confirms that forward movement combined with panoramic visual scanning sends a direct inhibitory signal to the amygdala. The threat center of the brain receives a clear message: nothing is chasing you. You are moving through safe, open space. Anxiety decreases measurably. Cortisol falls. Put your phone in your pocket. Walk outside when you can. Lift your eyes to the trees, the sky, the middle distance ahead of you. That simple redirection of your gaze is among the most potent non-pharmaceutical cortisol interventions available to any human being. You are not just walking away from stress, you are neurologically dismantling it, step by step. The fifth hack works with time itself, specifically the biological window that opens every single morning before you eat your first meal, when you wake up. Insulin is sitting at its lowest point of the entire day. Your liver glycogen has been partially depleted by the overnight fast. There is no insulin blocking the pathway to fat. There is no surplus glucose competing for priority. In this window, the body mobilizes free fatty acids into the bloodstream far more readily than at any other hour. A 20-minute walk before breakfast does not need to be fast or intense to access this state. Moving in a low-insulin environment naturally directs the metabolism toward fat as its primary fuel within minutes. But the morning walk offers a second benefit that extends far beyond calorie burning. Natural light entering your eyes travels through the retina to a small structure in the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the master timekeeper of your entire circadian system. This morning light signal anchors your cortisol peak to the early hours where it biologically belongs, ensuring it falls as darkness arrives so that melatonin can rise cleanly and deep sleep can follow. Deep sleep is not passive recovery. It is when insulin sensitivity is rebuilt. It is when growth hormone is secreted. It is when the metabolic repairs that make tomorrow's fat burning more effective than today's actually happen. A morning walk does not just burn fat once. It builds the biological architecture that makes fat burning easier every single day going forward. Here is what all 5 hacks share. They are not calorie tricks. They are not willpower strategies. They are signals. Each one is a precise biological message delivered to a specific system, and together they initiate a conversation your body has been waiting to have. The post-meal walk tells your muscle cells to absorb glucose without waiting for insulin. Nasal breathing tells your mitochondria to burn fat while the nervous system stays calm. Rucking tells your bones to release a hormone that upgrades the entire metabolic engine. The optic flow reset tells your amygdala to stop sealing visceral fat in place. The fasted morning walk tells your circadian clock to time cortisol correctly so that sleep can repair what the day has worn down. The body does not release weight when it feels under attack. Every serious study on cortisol and visceral fat arrives at the same conclusion. The body surrenders stored fat when it feels genuinely safe. This is not a flaw in the design. It is profound biological intelligence. The belly fat that has refused to move is not a failure of your discipline. It is a message from a body still in survival mode too long. Tonight, do not plan a workout. Plan a walk. Close your mouth. Lift your eyes to the horizon. And let the biology do what it was always built to do.